Hi everyone, welcome to today's Odoo's webinar. For today's topic, we'll be focusing on the wholesale trading landscape, particularly in Singapore. So we'll be focusing on some of the common challenge and also pain point we have commonly heard from our customer, which is basically focused a lot on procurement, inventory control, and also a multi-company environment as well. So allow me to quickly introduce myself. My name is James. I'm a business advisor in Odoo based in Hong Kong, and we'll be covering both the Hong Kong and also Singapore market. So my contact details is actually in the PowerPoint here. So feel free to reach out to me if you got any question after this webinar. So for today's agenda, for sure, firstly, we will let you know what exactly Odoo is with a really quick company introduction. Then afterward, we will go on to a really quick discussion and also introduction about the wholesale trading business landscape in Singapore. And obviously, afterward, we will proceed to a really simple case study about a wholesale trading industry in Singapore. And last but not least, also very important, for sure, we'll bring you over to our latest Odoo 19 UX UI and let you know how the ERP system actually works and also can potentially solve your pain point as well. So if you got any question in mind, please feel free to leave a comment below. I will try my best to answer as most questions as I can if the time is actually allowed. Alternatively, please feel free to send me an email or also WhatsApp, then we can connect after this webinar as well. So to begin with, what exactly is Odoo? Okay, so the journey of Odoo actually started off since 2005. It has been around 20 years already. Okay, so our founder, Fabian, who was in Belgium before, he actually had a really simple idea to produce a management software for small and medium enterprises. So back then, 20 years ago, there are basically a lot of solution vendor which is giant size as well, but basically there are no any user-friendly and also easy to use software for small and medium enterprises. So he literally start his work. He's literally start coding in a tiny warehouse. All the aim is actually to produce a user-friendly management software so that small and medium enterprises will have a platform to digitalize and also scale their business. So fast forward to 20 years later, Odoo, we are now already a global and also well-established ERP platform. And also it's also all-in-one with a beautiful UX UI and it's frankly, it's also quite easy to use as well. So currently we got 19 offers worldwide across container, and also we have recruited for total more than 8,000 official partners. So they will basically support our customer and also ourselves for different kind of project implementation. But for sure, if you want Odoo official to help implement your project, that's also completely doable as well. And at the moment, we also have more than 16 million of active users as well. And I think most of people in Odoo would expect this figure to continue growing as well. So with our business continue to grow, we also got some of the strong partner across the group as well. So on a financial perspective, we're actually backed by Sequoia Capital at the moment, and we have already hidden unicorn stage since 2021. So our current valuation is around USD 5.3 billion. So apart from that, we also got partnership with some of the global players as well, including KPMG and also Deloitte. So with business keep on growing, we also have ongoing partnership with a lot of the big logos. So as you can see in this diagram, let's say MasterCard, IBM, Heineken, etc. So these are really common brand name which would obviously appear in your day-to-day life. So these are also some of our customers as well. So apart from simply providing a management software for the small and also medium market, we are also tapping into the mid-market and also some of the potential large enterprises as well. So I would say we actually got a proven track record in producing some of the really complex and also highly customizable system. So here's come the really important point is actually what is the unique selling point and also what makes Odoo different and also unique. So Odoo is always about our all-in-one capability and also our flexibility. So on the left-hand side, you guys will probably see quite a number of application. So let's say Excel, QuickBooks, Asana, even Google Calendar, WordPress, HubSpot, etc. So these we kind of like categorize them as a standalone or a specialized software. So the good thing about Odoo is that we actually have most of the function available for you already within Odoo platform. Okay, so within the same subscription fee, our user will be able to get access to around 60 to 70 modules and also application. So the ultimate goal goal we're trying to do basically is to streamline your day-to-day operation. So basically, you don't have to drag around different software. You don't have to keep a massive book of Excel across different personnel and also different operation. You can just keep everything simple within Odoo, and then to basically focusing on your business growth and also business development. So Odoo system is also a relatively user-friendly system as well. So obviously for most of the management software, there will be a certain level of learning curve being expected anyways. But I would say in Odoo, I would say the software is actually pretty easy to use, first thing. So we also saw a lot of users which are pretty doing okay with all the usage. And even if you go through our implementation services, we can get everything on board within 6 to 12 weeks as well. So basically, you can have a subscription going on, have a project going on, and also have a system in place in just a couple of weeks. So these are actually some of the modules, which is, I would say, the most popular and also common modules. And anyway, you will be able to use all of our application within the same subscription fee. So let's say on a trading perspective, or maybe on a wholesale trading perspective, there are pretty much some of the modules that a lot of our customers would be able to fully utilize. First of all, on a sales perspective, you'll be able to use our CRM application, so which is a simple module for you to keep track of your pipeline, any pre-sales opportunity. Secondly, most of the company will also use our sales module to manage the sales data, issue quotation, etc. And eventually, on the operation perspective, we also got purchase and also inventory, so you can have everything linked between each other. And eventually we also have the finance side, which is accounting, invoicing, also expenses. And eventually all of these modules, the data actually talk between each other and also is actually fully integrated, so you don't have to create an invoice and then create another journal entries on the accounting software anyways. So let's go to the main topic today, which is the wholesale trading industry in Singapore. So obviously Singapore is a really fast growing, also growing economy, not only in APAC, but also globally speaking. I would say wholesale trading company is actually a very common business that we have came across. Okay, so basically, for most of the trading business we have talked with, we have actually observed a really increasing demand of company which is setting up, offshoring operation and also foreign direct investment. So what does it exactly mean is that a lots of company, they might keep a headquarter or maybe like a trading and sales office in Singapore as a headquarter, and eventually to offshore some of their operation to other countries. So let's say Southeast Asia, China, or even across Europe as well. So this is actually a very smart strategy and also a very profitable strategy, because basically on a wholesale trading business perspective, let's say if you are setting up an offshore operation or maybe like a sourcing business in another countries, first of all, you can really get close to your potential manufacturer or sourcer as well. So a lot of companies is actually utilizing this advantage and also will hire some of the local experts. So basically they can get products with the best pricing and also best quality as well. First thing. Second thing, as a business owner, it's naturally for you to feel safe if you got some people you can trust to base in location which you really conduct the purchasing, also the sourcing activities. So it's also a better strategy to manage the supply chain, manage your inventory. So at least you got somebody to check the product quality when you're receiving a product from your vendor, right? Okay, and eventually, it's also a great strategy on a financial perspective, because basically this actually allow a lot of trading company to have a flexibility to evenly allocate the headcount in different countries for them to achieve a certain level of cost optimization. And also due to different kind of taxation and also financial regulation in different countries, some of the companies is also utilizing this kind of business operating model to basically let them to have a better profitability as well. Okay, so this is actually a very ideal business model, but I would say it's only being practical when you guys have a proper management system and also a proper SOP. So it's very theoretical, but anyway, we also heard some of the really common challenge that from this kind of business model. So let's go through a really simple case study Our case study today will be a company called Master Shipping Limited. So as you see, Master Shipping, so this company is actually responsible to wholesale trading and also distribution of any shipping related component. Okay, so they're actually operating in a really standard offshore operating or foreign direct investment model. So first of all, on left hand side, you will see a Singapore flag here, obviously. So this is also the headquarters. So obviously they have a sales office which based in Singapore, which is purely focusing on the distribution and also the selling activities of these kind of product. Okay, and on the other hand, they actually have another separate entity based in Indonesia, which will be focusing on purchasing and also sourcing. So they are actually called Master Sourcing Limited anyway. Okay, so imagine the workflow would be on the Indonesia entity, they actually have local expert there to responsible for all the sourcing. Okay, so when they source a product, they will firstly store the product in the Indonesia warehouse. Okay, and eventually based on the demand forecast for different product or the inventory level of the product, they will then ship those products over to the Singapore warehouse. Okay, so basically there will be a replenishment relationship between both entities, and this is also a good strategy for the Singapore entity to keep a really stable cost of purchasing these kind of product as well. And then on the Indonesia entity, there are nothing they have just to have a focusing on the sourcing part and to ensure the price and also quality are actually in the best place. But what are the common challenge? So imagine if you are operating this kind of business model and you are using purely Excel or maybe like a different kind of system to operate, it's actually very common for our customer to encounter an issue, which is fragmented data. So basically, imagine when you are doing a purchase order in Indonesia, okay, and then another separate sales order in the Singapore entity. So basically, a really common challenge that we came across is that there would just be a lot of back and forth communication between the vendor, the customer, and also the internal parties. Okay, so because this is basically all about they don't have a centralized system to keep everything in place. So in case someone in the Indonesia entity, they want to get access to a data which is maybe a simple sales data, they may have to go through a meeting or maybe schedule a separate phone call or even WhatsApping different kind of internal parties in the Singapore entity. So basically there will be back and forth communication. There are just a lot of meeting for them to do different kind of alignment, which is obviously time consuming and also very messy. On the other hand, on the inventory and procurement part, theoretically speaking, this is such a simple workflow, but on a practical perspective, it could be very overwhelmed because if you don't get a system in place, very likely you will have to count inventory across different locations manually. Okay, so there are just a lot of repetitive administrative work that have to be conducted, and in somehow there could be also scenarios that maybe a salesperson in Singapore, they wish to fulfill an order to the customer. They thought that they got the inventory on hand in the warehouse, but eventually it's actually didn't because the inventory level is not real time updated. So eventually this kind of situation do happens, and eventually it just would delay the delivery time and also affecting the branding and also customer satisfaction as well. On the other hand, with this operating model, it could be very difficult for the business to accurately track the product costs, and eventually there will be some of the case that maybe the salesperson they didn't mark up correctly in order for the business to really have a positive margin. So this also would cause like a cost pressure on a financial perspective as well. And eventually, if you are an owner or if you're managing this business, it's also very overwhelming for you to generate different kind of data report because basically all of the data will be kept in different Excel or maybe different personnel. So simply to generate a data, you might have to have different kind of meeting and then have a look on different kind of Excel spreadsheet, and eventually it could take days to generate a simple report. So in a nutshell, it's basically they have no visibility about what's happened in the business. So the next question is, how can Odoo potentially help you? Okay, so very straightforward. Odoo as an ERP platform, under Odoo you can actually capture both company profile within the same database. So the really crucial thing is that we can serve as a single source of truth for you. So you will have all of the data systematically booked into our system, first thing. And secondly, once you got a digital platform on hand, you can further prepare for future digitalization and even some of the regulatory changes. So let's say the e-invoicing regulation coming in from Singapore is also something that we can potentially cater off as well. And eventually for Odoo, as I mentioned before, it's actually a scalable and also flexible solution. So what does it mean is that, let's say if your business is eventually expanding and you have other function potentially would like to capture by Odoo, you can always install and uninstall any application as you need anytime. And secondly, let's say if your business is recording like an extreme success and you're expanding, you can always increase your user count anytime as well. So we are fully scalable and also flexible. So it's very close for us to go into Odoo 19 for our demo session, but for today I will mainly focusing on these 5 applications as I mentioned before, which is CRM, sales, inventory, purchase, and also accounting. So let's go to the demo. Okay, I think everyone will be able to see my screen now, right? Okay, so before jumping into the actual workflow, there are some of the basic settings I would like to let you guys know. Okay, so let's go to the setting function over here. Okay, if we go into the setting function, first of all, I think all of you will be able to see this manage user button, right? So for our subscription fee, we actually count based on the user count anyway. So by simple clicking into the manage user button, you'll be able to manage all of your users' information. Okay, so let's take this next one as an example. Okay, so the very crucial point here is that if we scroll down to a little bit, okay, obviously Nixon is a sales manager who based in Indonesia, so you'll be able to set up the correct access right over here. Okay, so let's say Nixon, because he's actually a sales manager in Indonesia, so obviously you don't want him to get access to any accounting related data. So you can just simply go to accounting and change the access right to no. Okay, and eventually the application will just disappear in his main dashboard. Okay, so if we scroll up a little bit, you can also further indicate for every single user or every employee which company would they have access in and it actually belongs to. So this is like a very basic setting about a multi-company environment in Odoo. Okay, if we go back to the setting and scroll down a little bit, everyone will see this company tab here. So in Odoo, you can actually create a multi-company environment and also within the same subscription fee. If we click inside, due to time constraint, I have already created two entities here, and obviously this is very similar to the business case that we have just discussed about. So firstly, we got this Master Shipping Limited. Obviously, it's based in Singapore, right? And the currency will be using Singapore dollar, obviously, right? And then we also got another separate entity, which is on the Indonesia side, which is Master Sourcing Limited. And for this one, basically will be based in Indonesia, and we are using IRD to do all the settlement, also transaction. Okay, so if you need to change between company profile, we can just go to the right top corner. By simple clicking to another entity, you can easily drag and also change to different entity just by a simple click. If you need any consolidated data between both entities, you can take both of the tick here, and the system will then pop up all the relevant information regarding these two business entities. So let's go back to the Singapore entity now. Okay, so there are also some of the setup that I think is worth to mention. Secondly, we also got this intercompany transaction function as well. So what does it mean? Basically is that we were able to help you synchronize most of the data and also information between both entities. So imagine if you are currently based in Singapore and you are issuing a purchase order to the Indonesia entity, okay, the system will then be able to automatically create a sales order in the Indonesia dashboard as well. So again, you don't have a double entry for most of the information, because based on the intercompany logic, the system will do most of the thing for you already. Okay, so afterward, we can go to the accounting setup. In Odoo, another really good thing is that we actually have a physical localization package included for you already. So meaning that once you have selected for the right location package, Odoo will then automatically input all the local taxation, physical position, and also chart of account for you already, including the taxation and also the currency. So now we are in the Singapore side. So let's say if we change to the Indonesia side right now, you will see the whole package have been changed to Indonesia. The taxation is also using the local Indonesia package as well, alongside with the currency. Okay, so basically you can fulfill local taxation and also accounting standard by Odoo system as well. Okay. So in case you need a different kind of currency, you can always activate it by this currency button to set up the currency conversion rate. Alternatively, there are also quite a number of customers would be just using our auto currency rate conversion as well. So you can select the source and then select the right interval, and the system will then calculate the conversion rate for you automatically. Okay. So secondly, we can now jump into the actual workflow. But before really officially getting started, allow me to let you guys know how to create a product in the system. So to create a product in the system, we can go into the sales application. Okay, so this is actually all of the quotation, also sales order information. But anyway, I think all of you will see this product button. If we click inside, this will be your potential master product list. Okay, so imagine when you keep when your business keep growing, you can basically just import all of your SKU details in this layout. And if you want to do some of the categorization, you can click the search bar, use the group by function. And then there are different criteria for you to further categorize. So let's say we can group by product category. And then this will be basically an easier layout for you to use it. And also, for all of the product category, if we click into the setting, you can even set up the inventory valuation method here. So for this example, I have chosen average cost as a costing method. You can also use a standard one and also first in, first out. So basically, you don't have to double calculate all of your information and also data again. So let's take this water pressure pump as an example. If we click inside, this is the product form. You can input your photos here. You can indicate your sales price here. And also, if we scroll down a little bit for this cost function, this is actually auto-calculated because we have just set up average cost as a costing method. So basically, the system will have the ability to calculate all of the purchase order and also vendor bill information and pop up the relevant information here. Okay, if you have a part number for this particular product, you can also input it in the reference tab as well. And in Odoo, there are also different kind of tracking mechanism on the inventory perspective as well. So for this moment, we are using unique serial number to track this water pressure pump. So meaning that for every single product arriving in the warehouse, Odoo will have a separate record to record all the information here as well. So let's say if you are doing some of the maybe component, which is basically massy input into your warehouse, you can also consider using lot number or maybe potentially quantity as well. So here you'll be able to see the quantity on hand in your warehouse as well. So next part, if we click into this purchase tab, you will also be able to input your vendor price in this layout. Okay, so basically the system will be able to automate some of the purchase order creation for you already. And this is also a really good layout for you to keep track of all of your information. Last but not least, we got this inventory tab. Okay, so as you can see, on the traceability button here, we can actually help you to calculate the valuation of every single lot and every single serial number. So meaning that if someone coming in and let you know a serial number, you will exactly know what is the cost for purchasing this product as well. So if you really wish to do some of the complicated logistic or maybe rate calculation, you can also further input the rate and also volume information over here. Okay. So on top of the layout, you will see a batch of button here. So first of all, regarding demand forecast, we got this demand forecast button available for you already. If you click inside, a simple report will be able to calculate it for you already based on different kind of matrix. And secondly, if you wish to keep track of all the sales and also purchase record for this particular product, you can try exploring these two buttons. By clicking into the incoming button, the system will then automatically generate all of the relevant purchase order for this particular product. And also for the same concept, if we click into the outgoing button, all of the sales order information will be here as well. And also here's some of the really amazing function of Odoo is that for the min and max button, this is actually what we call a reordering rule. Okay, if we click inside, what does this layout mean is that you will be able to set up a minimum requirement level of inventory per warehouse in the system and also the maximum capacity. So what does it mean is that currently we got 15 water pressure pump on hand. If the inventory hit is lower than 5, the system will then automatically create a purchase order for you to replenish to the maximum level. Okay, so on the inventory management perspective, it's actually very user-friendly and also convenient as well. Okay, and last but not least, if you wish to have a look on all the lot and also serial information, you can always try exploring the serial number button. So for every single serial number of lot number, Odoo will be able to create a record for you. So let's say if we want to look at this WPP00018 water pressure pump, if we click inside, we will be able to see the average cost, the total value of this product. And also if you got extra description, extra information or data would like to keep track by serial number, you can also customize this page as well. Okay. So I hope this information will be useful for you to further understand what's happening next. Okay, so now if we go back to the main dashboard, we can now try conducting a simple sales process. So typically speaking, the process will start from our CRM application. So let's go to the CRM application. If we click into the CRM application, this is actually a sales pipeline system. So you will see new, qualify, proposition, and enroll. This is actually what we call a sales stage. So you can actually customize this sales stage and add different kind of new stage over here. So let's say now I would like to add a negotiation stage. You can just add a new stage here and then to drag it to the page you want. Okay, and then on the left hand side you will see these kind of boxes. This is actually what we call an opportunity. So imagine if you got a new customer coming in, you would like to start off the whole negotiation process with that person. You can just simply click the new button to create a new opportunity. Okay, so let's say this guy is called maybe John Chan maybe. You can create a contact form immediately, name your opportunity, purchase of water pump. Okay, so by creating this opportunity, your salesperson will then have a simple pipeline management system to manage the day-to-day operation, also work as well. So eventually they can log all of the information here, they can automatically send an email here, and they can also log all of the information in this dashboard as well. And also most importantly, every salesperson will be able to manage the activities by scheduling different kind of scheduling activities over here. So imagine I'm now talking with Karen, which is obviously one of our potential buyer, and eventually everything is actually going on well. So we can just move the opportunity to the next stage, eventually to the stage that you want. So you can define a definition of every single stage. So basically you can keep track of all the record regarding what are your salesperson doing. Okay. So let's say everything is going well with Karen, and then we can now create a quotation for them. Okay. So how does it work is that you can actually click this new quotation button. By clicking this new quotation button, the system will then direct us to the sales application, and then a quotation or sales order is actually created already. So you will see the customer information, the invoicing address, the delivery address is all auto-generated based on your contact information. You can further indicate the quotation expiration date, the payment terms, etc. Okay. So let's say Karen now is coming to us and she want to buy maybe water pressure pump. So how to do it? We can click this catalog and just input the product she would like to buy it. So let's say she want to buy 12. And Odoo will then auto calculate all the information for you, including the GST tax over here, the unit price, the total amount is all auto calculated. Let's say I want to give her a discount. You can always do it in this REST file. So basically Odoo will have everything calculated for you already. Okay. So now let's say Karen would like to receive a formal documentation. We can use the send button to send out a quotation over to her as well. Okay. So Odoo will then generate an email template for you alongside with the quotation document here. If we click send, an email will then automatically be triggered and sent over to Karen dashboard, and we will be also able to help you generate these kind of quotation document as well. This is like a dummy example for sure. Okay. So let's say everything is okay and Karen is fine with the quantity and also the price that we are issuing. By clicking this green button, you will be also able to see how many inventory you got on hand to fulfill your order. So we can confirm this sales order. Once we confirm it, I think all of you will also be able to see this delivery button. If we click inside, this is already integrated to our inventory module already. So in order to schedule a delivery order, you can also use the schedule the date button over here and select the right date to do the delivery order. So your operations staff will have a better idea which product, which order to fulfill by different dates. Okay. And also for this particular water pressure button, you can also click this detail button to assign the relevant serial number that you would like to ship over to this customer as well. Okay, so imagine everything is okay. Once we click validate, the system will then automatically deduct the water pressure pump by 12 from your Singapore warehouse here and then send over to your customer address, which is Karen's office. Okay, once we click validate, the inventory count is automatically calculated and effective already. So if we now click into the product form again, you will see that the quantity on hand is actually decreased to 3 already, right? Okay, so now I think as all of you remember, we actually got a medium requirement level of 5, right? Okay, so basically based on this case, Odoo have already created a purchase order for you already. We'll cover it later. Okay, so if we go back to this sales order, after you have shipped the product over to Karen, obviously you will also have to create an invoice with them, right? So we can click this create invoice button. We got an option for down payment or regular invoice based on the needs, but anyway, let's do a regular invoice. We can click create invoice. So now we are already on the accounting module, okay? So for this particular transaction, once we have input for the invoice date, this is a revenue, right? Okay, so Odoo will actually automatically debit and credit a certain account based on your chart of account setup over here. So on accounting perspective, you will have a really clear visibility of the financial record, and you don't have a double entry for another, accounting record anyway. So once we have confirmed that this invoice, the financial record is already in place in your accounting book. Okay, so again, if you wish to create an invoice or send out an invoice to your customer, you can always click this send button. And again, we got the email template alongside with the quotation, alongside with the invoice document over here. Once we click send, oops, it's loading. And then we have this invoice available for you and also your customer already. So let's say Karen's now she told you, oh, I have already paid already, James. So you can also click this pay button and to create a payment record over here. So by using this referral within a sales order, you will firstly have invoice and also payment record, and it's all interlinked between each other. Okay. So remember what we did just now is we have sold 12 water pressure pump to Karen, and basically it's actually hitting inventory level that which is lower than the minimum requirement level, right? So I think all of you will see this purchase button, right? This is the effective and also the magic of the reordering rule, because the system have already detected you don't got enough inventory on hand. Okay, so as you can see, for this particular request for quotation, or what we call purchase order, is actually automatically directed to Master Sourcing Limited, which is the Indonesia entity. Okay, so obviously for $200, which is kind of like a vendor agreement aligned between the same company group, right? So we can just confirm this order. Okay, by confirming this purchase order or request for quotation, the Indonesia entity will then automatically have a record, so you don't have to do another round of email communication or even WhatsApp communication. So now we can change to the Indonesia entity section and see what's happened. So now we can go back to the main dashboard, and then we can just change our layout to the Indonesia side right now. Okay, we have fly over to Indonesia already. Okay, so I'm a sales manager in Indonesia right now. If we click into the sales application, obviously there is actually a sales order automatically created for you already. If we click inside, this is exactly the amount we have created as a purchase order from the Singapore entity. Okay, so basically Singapore side is actually our friend, right? So we are not going to negotiate the price anyway, so we can then confirm this. Okay, and eventually because both the entity is actually running on a separate financial book, so we can also create an invoice here as well. And again, the system will then create an accounting record, but this time it's actually on the Indonesia accounting book. You will also be able to see the account that system will be help to debiting and crediting. If you don't want to use this account, you can also change it to other account as well. Okay. So let's click the invoice date at today, and then we can confirm this invoice. Okay, so once we have created invoice, we can then schedule for the shipment to ship the product to our Singapore entity. Okay, so all of you will see this delivery button over here. If we click inside, also if we click on the details tab, you can also to choose exactly which serial number of product you are going to send out to a customer. So for this time will be from WPP41 to WPP52. Okay, so again, by validating this order, the system will then deduct the inventory by 12 from your Indonesia warehouse. Okay, so let's say the product is already going on and also shipping to the Singapore warehouse, and eventually when the product is really arriving in the Singapore warehouse, we can go back. Now we can go back to the Singapore entity. Okay, click on the purchase tab. This is exactly the purchase order we have just created, right? Okay, so when we click inside, we can now really receive the product in order to let the inventory heading into our Singapore warehouse. If we click into the receive button, again, if we go into this detail tab, this is exactly the serial number that we have just assigned it from our Indonesia entity. So again, all of the data will be real-time synchronized already. So now we can validate this order, and boom, we have already completed an intercompany transaction, and also from reordering rule to inventory movement between different entities. So this is a very simple workflow of how you can manage your inventory level across different entities. Okay, so now we can quickly go to the accounting book and see what's happening. If we go into the accounting dashboard, okay, obviously you can keep track of all of your invoices under the customer invoicing tab. Okay, and also if we click into the vendor bill pad, this is probably all of the expenses for the Singapore entity, right? Because we have also created invoice from Indonesia perspective, right? So, and vendor bill have also been automatically created from the Singapore point of view as well. So we can also confirm this, and also to match it to the relevant purchase order. So again, we got most of the information synchronized for you already. And also on accounting perspective, we got multiple reports available for you already. So let's maybe go to the general ledger. So this is basically all real-time data based on the invoice and also vendor bill record you have created across entity. So this is we are now sticking into the Singapore layout. So let's say now we want to also have a consolidated view for both Indonesia and also Singapore entity. We can also take the Indonesia entity, and eventually you will have a general ledger which belongs to both business entity. Okay. Again, if you need to track around the date, you can also use this date button to go over to different stage. Okay, let's say if we go to February, and there will be nothing because I created this database on March, right? Okay, so this is a simple usage of accounting report. We also have balance sheet. We also have profit and loss. So basically, all of the information is ready and available for you here already. Okay. So there are also some of the reports that I would like to show you. If we go into the inventory, we also got the inventory report here. By clicking into the stock report, you will be able to have access to all of your product information, the unit costs of the product, and also the total value on hand on the inventory valuation perspective. Okay. On the other side, if we go to the stock location, This is also a consolidated list view about all the serial number information, including what are the product, your part number, where's the location. If you think this list view is too overempted, you can always change it to a pivot table, which is basically my favorite. Okay, so by changing into a pivot table, you will be able to see basically how many products you got on hand in different warehouse. And so now we got the view on the Singapore side. So we can also expand the view to the Indonesia side. So you will exactly see how many inventory we got on hand for multiple locations. And last but not least, on the sales perspective, if you would wish to keep track of your sales data, okay, we also got the sales reporting here as well. So let's say we want to have a product sales report. Okay, we got a pie chart available for you already. If you want a bar chart, obviously here as well. But again, my personal preference would be this pivot table. Okay. So here pretty much most of the information for today. So let's see if any of you would got any question. So anyway, if you would like to schedule a demonstration or maybe reach out to me, please feel free to use this QR code to schedule a meeting with me. Alternatively, you can also send me an WhatsApp or maybe an email as well. Okay, perhaps seems like we got not much question on hand at the moment. Perhaps I can share a little bit more details about our pricing as well. So for Odoo, our pricing actually run on a subscription base. So there are actually a standard plan and also a custom plan. For standard plan, we actually started off from 13.5 USD per month per user. Okay, and also we also got a custom plan, which is basically a little bit more I would say customizable and flexible. So for that plan, it's actually started off since at 20.4 USD per month per user. Okay, so basically, if you really wish to implement an ERP system, depending on your business scope, it could be complicated. It could be also a relatively easy to use process as well. But anyway, we also will be able to offer an implementation services as well. This is also what we call as a SaaS pack. Okay, and we can have a dedicated Odoo project manager assigned to you to run you through the whole implementation services. Okay, I think thank you everyone for getting in touch and also to join today's webinar. So hope you guys will have a beneficial overview about what's happening in Singapore, particularly in the wholesale trading industry, and also what can Odoo do to help you. So see you next time.